Hi everyone, Alex is here. Today I'm going to be talking about minimum wage in the United States. Republicans and Democrats both are actually pushing for a higher minimum wage. In today's video, we are going to compare the competing bills. Please let me know in the section below what you're thinking and if you prefer the Republican bill or the Democrat bill, or maybe you don't like either of them. Before I get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to help the channel grow. I want to give you a quick recap on minimum wage. So the federal minimum wage is currently $7.25 an hour. If your city or your state has a higher minimum wage, then you will go with a higher amount. Actually, nowadays in the United States, 30 states have higher minimum wages compared with the federal minimum wage. It is estimated that only 1% of workers in the United States are on the federal minimum wage. So, the federal minimum wage was introduced in 1938. Back then, it was only 25 cents per hour. It has increased 22 times from 1938 until today in 2023. The last increase was in 2009, where it went from $6.55 an hour to $7.25 an hour. So here we are in October 2023. Let's start with the Republican bills. The Republican bills is the Higher Wages for American Workers Act. So the Republican bills want to increase the federal minimum wage to $11 an hour. In the bill, they want all employers to use Homeland Security and E-Verify program to make sure that all employees are eligible to work in the United States. So, technically, the Republicans are basically mixing immigration reform with the federal minimum wage because they do want to crack down on illegal workers. But I am sure you do want clarification about this legislation, which explains that the minimum wage will gradually rise to $11 an hour. It would increase to $10 an hour by 2025. Then it would eventually go to $11 an hour by 2027. After 2027, the federal minimum wage will adjust because of inflation every 2 years. So, these rules will apply more slowly for small businesses with fewer than 20 employees, as they are trying to give small businesses a break so they can have a little bit more time to adjust. In terms of the E-Verify, all employers will be mandated to use this. So, businesses will be given 18 months to implement this screening system. The civil and criminal penalties will be increased for employers that hired unauthorized aliens or violated I-9 paperwork requirements. So, let me share with you some of the quotes stated by the Republicans that are sponsoring the bill. Okay, so let's get started with Republican Senator Mitt Romney. He said, and I quote, "Despite rising cost of living, the federal minimum wage has not been increased in more than a decade. This has left millions of Americans struggling to make ends meet." That's Senator Republican Mitt Romney. And the other side, Republican Senator Tom Cotton said, and I quote, "American workers compete against millions of illegal immigrants for too few jobs with wages that are too low. That's unfair." And at the end of it, Republican Senator Susan Collins said, and I quote, "Few issues are as important to the American people as the availability of good jobs in our communities. The federal minimum wage has clearly not kept pace with inflation." That was the Republican side. Now, let's compare that to what the Democrats want. The Democrats have brought forth the Wage Act of 2023. This bill was introduced by Senator Bernie Sanders with the support of 30 Democrats in the Senate and more than 140 Democrats in the House of Representatives. The Federal Minimum Wage Act of 2023 would increase the wage to $17 an hour. So, let me tell you about the situation and let me know what you think down below this video. Let's go very quick with Democrat Senator Bernie Sanders, who said, and I quote, "The $7.25 per hour federal minimum wage is a starvation wage. It must be raised to a living wage, at least $17 an hour in the year of 2023. A job should lift you out of poverty, not keep you in it." Senator Bernie Sanders proceeds to say that we can no longer tolerate it. Millions of workers being unable to feed their families because they are not working for totally inadequate wages. Congress can no longer ignore the needs of the working class in this country, which is the United States of America. The time to act is now. As I explained, when it comes to the current federal minimum wage, which is currently $7.25 an hour, only about 1% of the total U.S. working population makes that amount. 1% only. But regarding the $17 an hour, according to the Economic Policy Institute, approximately 30% of the U.S. working population make less than $17 an hour. So we are talking about 44 million U.S. workers who are actually not getting paid $17 an hour. They get paid less than $17 an hour, which is very critical. With that said, guys, a lot of people are working $17 an hour or less. Almost 1 out of every 3 U.S. working people get paid $17 or less, which is absolutely critical for the U.S. population. Let me know, guys, in the comment section below if that is something sustainable or not for our population. I am considering myself so fortunate to be able to manage all of that. I'm not living in the most expensive state in the United States, for example, California, New York, or so. Anyways, guys, the Federal Minimum Wage Act of 2023 that would raise the federal minimum wage gradually to $17 an hour by the year of 2028. So the tape sub minimum wage is currently at $2.13 per hour. And this has been notified since 1991. Now, my question to you is, do you support the Republican version or the Democrat version, or neither of them? So here is something to consider when you are forming your own opinion. Let me tell you the pros and cons. The pros of raising minimum wage, the obvious reason would be that 30% of the U.S. workers would receive higher nominal wages. It could reduce income inequality, poverty, and crime. It would also increase consumer activity and spur the U.S. GDP growth as well. Let's consider the second consideration, folks. Here are the cons of raising the federal minimum wage. It could be inflationary, and everybody knows that inflation is the most harmful to one of those groups would be minimum wage workers. Raising the minimum wage will go against the free markets. There would be no true price discovery. A higher minimum wage would hurt small businesses more than large corporations. A higher minimum wage will promote automation and outsourcing, which means less jobs for Americans. There are arguments that raising the minimum wage would actually make the income inequality even worse. Now, I want to tell you that I want to go straight forward and express myself about some concerns that I have as well with this process and getting people get paid more money. I'm talking about the minimum wage. Consider just this, folks. The Federal Reserve should not have printed trillions of dollars and caused monetary inflation all over the country. They are acting like a bunch of incompetent, or they might have a specific plan, but their action will get a very bad consequence in the economy moving forward. And it will eventually affect the real estate market. So let me know in the comment section below if you agree with the Democrat minimum wage bill or the Republican minimum wage bill. So folks, I hope you find this information helpful. Please drop like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to help the channel grow. Aside from that, guys, thank you so much for your time and appreciation.